Good to have you with us. We've got a lot of ground to cover. We are going to call an audible. Red 7. Red 7. We're bumping college football till tomorrow because we have the on-again, off-again storyline that is your Detroit Tigers that last night may have had its most magical 30-minute period. So we're going to play the game, Rico. And the game is what we talked about. What was this now? Geez, over a week ago. And it was fangraphs odds versus the standings. Mm-hmm. And I didn't believe the fangraph odds last time. I thought you were getting shortchanged. Remember when they were like 8% odds?
I was about to say, it was like 9%. Yeah.
Guys, they have a better shot than that based on the Twins are a flaming clown car. Well, the Twins have continued to twin. The Tigers, off of the loss to the Rockies, take 2 out of 3 against Baltimore and win the opener in incredible comeback fashion last night in Kansas City. And you find yourself 2 games out. Now, yes, Minnesota has the game in hand where they could make it 3, but you're 2 games out today. And as I said a week ago, look, you just eventually submit if you're going to enjoy sports. That when things like this take place, if you try to make sense of it, or you try to maintain, like I try to be pretty pragmatic with stuff and let math dictate it, it doesn't matter here. Rico, it doesn't. When you've got high leverage situations and Bo Brisky is shutting people down, it ain't Papa Grande coming out of that bullpen. It's right. Bo Brisky. It's Will Vest. It's Bob Salmon. It's ridiculous. You just go with it. Hey, I'm going to pinch hit Kerry Bonds for Wenzel Perez. Winning. Like, you just go with it. So here's my question to the people. Fangraphs today. Rico knows this number. David and Kenny don't. Here's what Fangraphs says. Your Detroit Tigers to make the playoffs today, this moment, to clinch a wild card, 18.1%. If you wanted betting odds, Rico, you could go to your sports book of choice. The Tigers are plus 415 to make the playoffs. The Twins are minus 410. Do what you want. Value. I don't know what the hell's going to happen because none of it makes much sense at all, quite frankly. I mean, last night, Twins are up 3-0. Seth Lugo on the mound. Clown car. And they don't just blow the game, they blow it in the bottom of the 8th. So now Clase is coming out of the pen, and you ain't hitting him. He could, honestly, Scooble and Clase should be your Cy Young people. That's it. So here's the question. Which is more believable? That you are 2 games out, potentially 3, if the Twins win the game in hand, or that you have an 82% chance of not making the playoffs. It's another way of saying 18.1% to make it. I firmly believe the standings are telling the truer story, right? Rico, the Twins have been egregiously bad for 6 weeks.
It's not just the standings, Mike. I think the analytics can't take into account what your eyes are seeing. The analytics can't see just how, as you said, any given day, somebody steps up and it's just like, I don't think this team realizes you're not supposed to be in this point. So, yes, on paper, it looks like, yeah, of course they're not going to make it. But watching this team and watching how they are catching every break, as I said before last week, they're like the person in Vegas with the hot hand. And eventually the house wins. But they may take some from the house for a while. That +4 whatever to make the playoffs, I'd put money on that. Because right now, the way they're playing and the luck that they have, because I am going to say some of it is luck, I'm betting on the Tigers to make the playoffs. Because sometimes, man, you got to realize that something magical is just happening right in front of you. You embrace it. You don't explain it. You just go with it.
Well, that's the whole premise is I don't really see a point. Like I was listening to the morning show and they had first of all, they had a good interview with Dan Campbell, and I do want to play some of that sound later. But I didn't understand you had a couple of people calling up and they were instead of talking about like what's here and now, they wanted to do this gotcha stuff with cookies. And it's like, why? Do you think the front office thought they were going to re-engage a pennant chase when they sold Jack Flaherty? No. So what the hell's your point? But hey, you know what? If that's where your mind goes when you're in a pennant chase and we're having fun, the other F word I like, I just don't care. Like, none of this is expected. That's what makes it fun. Yeah. None of it makes sense.
And by people, you mean his co-hosts?
No, John was fine. John's being pragmatic. No, they had a couple of callers that were prickly pears, and I'm just like, really? It's 80 and sunny. Yeah, here you go. Here's your win. Oh, Jim, you didn't say nice things when they were cutscene. 11 games out. What should he say? He don't work for Bally.
So are people really still doing this?
100%.
Oh, yeah. This is the trade deadline. Yeah, because, hey, I'm going to raise my hand. I was one of those people who said, you trade Scooble, you get back a haul, you build for the next couple of seasons. They didn't. They're defying odds right now.
I didn't want to trade him. I just needed to be motivated to do it. And I wasn't motivated. You keep him and you hand him a Brinks truck. The bottom line is, who cares? Who gives a damn about the rhetoric from the offseason? Like, it's the same thing. Like, we joked about it last week when I said, look, I think the standings are more believable than the fangraphs odds. I'm not interested in a Matt Chapman discussion. I didn't even drive that bus. I just defended Rieger and Cookies when they were being assassinated by people who work at the station for it. Yeah, do I think you'd be in the playoffs right now with them? Of course I do. You might make it anyways. But in the here and now, here's the reason this is happening. Yes, you've played good baseball. The Twins had to utterly fall apart for you to be here. So why not focus on that? Who cares? Like, I must miss it that if you were one of these delusional loyalists, if you get a different seat at a playoff game than somebody who didn't believe 11 out, who cares? If you don't have a life, you care.
Yeah.
So my question to you guys is, which is the more real number? Rico is saying the standings. 1.5 out, call it 2 flat. You don't have the tiebreaker. The Twins have a game in hand that they will play, I believe, Thursday. If the Twins win that game, it's worth a full game to the standings, meaning you'd be 3 out. Mm-hmm. Or, like tonight, look, I will never utter the words BOGO again. This is not me saying BOGO. What I am saying is you have to face Cole Reagans tonight. If you can beat Cole Reagans, you get an opportunity. An opportunity is not BOGO. An opportunity to have Scooble on the mound tomorrow to sweep the Royals. Tonight, look, last night, here's the moment in time. The Twins are up 3-0 in the late stages. You're down 4-0 or 5-1 respectively in the middle portion of your game. The win expectancy for you is probably 10%. The expectancy of you winning plus the Twins losing is a 1 in 100 shot. At that point, mathematically, it happened. Mm-hmm. So, no, I'm not doing Cookie's Team of Destiny. That's suggestive they'll win the whole effing thing. Shout out Tom Berenger. No, but sometimes you just call it and go, you know what? I don't want to hear about math. I don't want to hear about analytics, percentages. I don't even need it to make sense. Oh, look, face of franchise Matt Vierling just went deep. Like, who cares? Yes, great. Does he wear an Old English D? Like, in the end, this team hasn't delivered a single positive memory of note in a decade. Do it. Do it. I don't even care if it's the wrong people carrying the mail. Look at the kid they had against Baltimore. Rico, the kid throwing all the sweepers. Herder. Yeah. Where did he come from?
And that's just it. Every night, it's just somebody different. It's like, oh, you're throwing no hitters. It's like, what is going on?
Montero, the Maddox performance.
Right. Like, yeah. Is this real? You know what? Don't care if it's real or not.
Just go
embrace it. Go with it. Have fun, because
I don't feel a need to bleep in the Cheerios when they've gotten this close. Yes, am I the guy when you're 10 games out and you've sold at the deadline where I'm just like, okay, on to football. Yep, that's me. I'm not on the team's payroll. I don't need to make excuses for them. But they're here now, and they are on your TV. But guess what? If we opened up with Lions, that doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. There is a disconnect in this town with its baseball team. Now, part of it is they weren't on TV in the early portions, And they weren't good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they were never bad. You and I talked. I think you had them at 84 wins to start the year. I had them at 85. I had big expectations that clearly early were not fulfilled. But now it's like they've resurfaced for air, and people aren't looking at the water. They're doing something else because of football. But, guys, they're 2 games out of the playoffs.
See, I think it's a little deeper than that, Mike.
Oh, no, please. Much like you at the dentist. Go deeper.
Kenny. I think a lot of people are like, Kenny, I don't want to be hurt. I don't want to do this because all you're going to do is play with my feelings, play with my emotions. I'm going to wine and dine you, and then you're going to tell me, let's just be friends. They don't want that. So I think a lot of Tigers fans are – it's almost when a no-hitter is happening and how the other players won't look at the pitcher. Right. They want him to get the no-hitter, but they won't acknowledge it. And I think a lot of Tigers fans are in that boat right now. You want it to happen, but if I say it out loud, then it won't happen.
So what if you change your viewpoint and this is a scratch-off that someone handed you? It's free. How can your feelings be hurt if I hand you a free lottery ticket? That's all it is.
It is.
Because I refuse to accept anyone who tells me that this franchise believed they'd go on a magical run, trading Jack Flaherty and Reese Olson getting hurt, trading Mark Canha, getting rid of Urshela. This was never the design. It just happened. So I look, I said this to you 3 weeks ago. Last week, I'll say it to you again. I don't expect the Twins to turn it around. It's like tonight, they're pitching a guy with a 7 ERA in Cleveland. In a playoff chase. They just picked up Cole Irvin. He's terrible. Rico, I don't think they're turning it around. Now, the hole you dug for yourself is so deep. Yes, let's say you got 12 left. I don't know if it's 12 or 11. Forgive me. The point is, yeah, you're still going to have to go 8-4 or something, 9-3. But you're doing it. So win today. We'll just worry about today.
Yeah. And I think what helps, you get to finish this thing off with the White Sox. If you're one,
those are free squares.
Right.
Can I say that?
Yeah, you can.
Now,
because at this point,
I'd agree with Kenny, though, if they lost the playoff spot by losing 1 to the White Sox or something, that would hurt. That would bother me.
See? And that's why Kenny just can't be all in right now. He wants to.
Be all in, Kenny.
The only reason I'm not is because, and I hate to pick at this scab, but I did that with the Red Wings. I was all in at the end of last season, and they screwed me. And it was terrible. I got my feelings hurt. I still don't feel great about it. But I don't want to do that to myself one more time.
Hey, Kenny, there's a girl at the bar. She wants to buy you a drink. It's the Tigers.
If we get to a half game or a game back, I might be back.
I mean, look, the Twins, by quick count, 9-18 their last 27 games. They're horrific. If you want me to extend that out, I can. Guys, I've said this to you. I just don't think they're turning it around. And they have a little bit of a loser's DNA down the stretch. Now, some of that is old school Maurer and Morneau, and the Twins choke, and they don't get it done in the playoffs. But, Rico, that's an unforgivable game last night for them. And for you, look at the Magic. You give up a grand slam to Bobby Witt. You end up down 5-1. And you just keep going. How about late in the game? You want magic? The Royals have 2 men on, nobody out. Followed up by 1st and 3rd and 1 out in the 7th and 8th inning. You didn't go to the pen to bring in Mariano Rivera. You got Bo Brisky and Will Vest, and it works.
The Royals with horrific base running.
Well, yeah. It's a tough play, but I feel like Vierling doesn't have a big arm. You probably could have gotten home. But yes, it was. Look, bottom line, guys, I just want to know what you believe in more. We're going to get to the Lions later today. Do you believe in what the standings are telling you, or do you go with the math? Do you believe the standings or the betting odds? Like right now, if you believe, you probably should bet Tigers plus 415 to get in. I don't know a soul that would put minus 400 on the Twins. No. I don't think they're turning this around at all, and if they get in, it will be by the skin of their teeth.
Different sport, but it kind of reminds me of that Eagles collapse last year where
when Big Don D'Alessandro was kicked off the sidelines.
You couldn't explain it. It's like, guys, do you want to win? Because it looked like they didn't.
539-9797. We'll get with the people momentarily.